The unseen forces of intuition. Why do you feel like something is about to happen? Have you ever experienced a moment when your entire body seemed to warn you before something happened? A sudden wave of unease before receiving bad news. A feeling in your chest that someone was about to enter the room, seconds before they did. Or perhaps you've had an undeniable urge to call someone, only to have them say, "I was just thinking about you." What is this mysterious force? Is it just coincidence, or is it something deeper? For centuries, humans have trusted their intuition, that strange, unexplainable knowing that often seems to defy logic. Some call it gut instinct. Others describe it as a sixth sense, while some believe it's a subtle connection to a hidden force in the universe. But what if intuition isn't just superstition? What if science could actually explain why we sometimes know something before it happens? This is where the mystery begins. The human brain is a prediction machine. It constantly absorbs information, picks up patterns, and processes subconscious data faster than we can consciously perceive. Neuroscientists have discovered that before we make a decision, before we even think we've made a choice, the brain has already determined the outcome. A famous experiment by neuroscientist Benjamin Libet in the 1980s found that electrical activity in the brain preceded conscious decision-making by nearly half a second. In other words, the body knew before the conscious mind did. But what does this mean for intuition? It suggests that when you feel like something is about to happen, it's possible that your brain has already gathered information that you haven't fully processed yet. Maybe it noticed subtle shifts in someone's behavior. Maybe it picked up on the tiniest environmental details, shadows moving, distant sounds, a change in air pressure. You are constantly absorbing millions of data points without realizing it. And sometimes, this information leaks into your conscious awareness as a gut feeling. But can this subconscious awareness actually save lives? There are countless stories of people who followed a gut instinct and avoided disaster. Take the case of David Booth, a businessman from Kentucky who had a disturbing dream over and over again. A nightmare about a plane crashing, engines failing, and a horrifying explosion. The dream was so vivid that he reported it to the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA. Days later, American Airlines Flight 191 crashed outside of Chicago, just as Booth had described. Then there's Colleen Stan, a young woman who was hitchhiking when a car pulled over to offer her a ride. Something about the driver made her hesitate. The man seemed friendly, his wife was in the passenger seat, and even a baby was in the back. It looked safe. But something deep inside screamed at her not to get in. She ignored the feeling. She was then kidnapped and held captive for 7 years. Why did her gut try to warn her? Psychologists believe this is evolution at work. The amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for fear and survival instincts, is highly tuned to subtle dangers, changes in tone of voice, body language, environmental cues that don't feel right. Before modern civilization, humans depended on these instincts to survive. Our ancestors had to sense predators in the wild, dangerous strangers, or incoming threats before they fully revealed themselves. The ones who ignored these signals, they didn't survive. And that instinct still exists today. But what about those moments when something or someone comes to mind suddenly, and they appear? Could our intuition go beyond just survival and extend into connections with other people? The unseen connection. Why you think of someone right before they call. Have you ever been thinking about someone, and moments later they call or message you? It's easy to dismiss it as coincidence. But what if it's not? The idea that our thoughts could be connected to someone else's mind isn't just mystical thinking. It has actually been studied. In 2005, Dr. Rupert Sheldrake, a biologist and researcher, conducted experiments on telepathic communication. He asked subjects to predict who would call them out of 4 possible people, moments before receiving a phone call. The results? A statistically significant percentage of participants guessed correctly, more than what would be expected by pure chance. Could it be that we are connected by invisible threads of consciousness? Neuroscientists believe that our brains are constantly scanning our social environment, detecting microsignals from the people we are closest to. It's possible that when someone thinks about us intensely, our brains pick up on subtle external cues, a shared routine, a pattern in behavior, even tiny changes in our digital world, an incoming notification, an unread message, an algorithm predicting communication. But what if this connection extends beyond people, beyond something explainable, into time itself? This brings us to one of the strangest phenomena of all: déjà vu. A glitch in the matrix or a glimpse of the future? Déjà vu, the overwhelming sensation that you have already lived this exact moment before. A conversation, a place, a specific sequence of events, happening exactly as you remember, even though you have no reason to recall it. Some believe déjà vu is a glimpse into parallel realities, a brief moment where another version of ourselves has already experienced what we are now seeing. Physicists studying the multiverse theory suggest that time might not be strictly linear, and that moments of déjà vu could be us tapping into another version of our own experience. But what does science say? One theory suggests that déjà vu occurs when the brain mistakenly processes a current event as a memory, confusing the present with something stored in the past. Another theory is that our subconscious mind processes something before our conscious mind catches up, causing us to feel as though we've already lived through the experience. But what about people who report dreaming about future events before they happen? There have been documented cases of people experiencing dreams so specific that when the real-life event occurs, the details match exactly. Scientists argue this could be the brain assembling fragmented memories into a cohesive story. But if that were the case, why do some people's dreams predict events with unexplainable accuracy? Could it be that time is not what we think it is? The final question: how much do we really know about intuition? Science is beginning to uncover the hidden forces of intuition, but there is still so much we don't understand. Why do some people sense danger before it happens? Why do certain individuals feel connected across time and space? Why does the brain sometimes trick us into feeling like we've lived an event before? And if all of this can be explained by the brain's ability to detect patterns and process data subconsciously, then why does it sometimes defy probability? The truth is, intuition remains one of the greatest mysteries of the human experience. Maybe our minds are more powerful than we realize. Maybe we are tapping into a hidden dimension of consciousness, a deeper layer of reality that operates beyond time, beyond space, beyond logic itself. And perhaps, the next time you feel something is about to happen, you should trust it. Because your mind might know something that science hasn't explained yet,